Hey, how's it going? Hope you're all doing well. Commander64 here, bringing you retro gaming and Elite Dangerous related content in an alternating Sunday weekly show. Welcome to another edition of the Elite Dangerous section of this channel and a continuation of this d.i.y. cockpit project. The most recent editions of the cockpit project have been about a chair which is now put together in a rough build. When the entire cockpit is at this stage, we'll then move on to painting, adding finishing touches and a little bit of polishing up. But as for now, we're a little way off that. However, one thing I can't leave undone on the chair part of things is the cushions. I'm not going to sit on raw MDF. That's not going to be very comfortable for me. So that's what we're going to do next. But before I get on with the video, I'd just like to thank any of you that have been following this video series, or indeed any of the videos that I've uploaded to the channel thus far. I really do appreciate that. Well, thanks for taking the time out of your day to watch this. And if you could hit that thumbs up or the subscribe button or leave a comment or anything that supports the channel in any kind of way, well, that'd just be great. And if you already have, well, I just think you're super duper. So a thumbs up back to you. Anyway, now that's all out of the way, I've been browsing the Facebook marketplace recently. Yeah, I know. I found these conservatory chairs, which were free for anyone willing to pick them up. I guess they just wanted to get rid of them. So I did. I took them home. I took off the cushions, removed the flowery covers on them, and I was left with these big blocks of foam. And I thought, yeah, that'd be pretty good for the chair. So I remeasured the seat and the backrest that I put together in the previous video and marked up the foam so that I knew how much I needed to remove to have them sit nicely on the chair that we built in the previous part of this video series. I hacked them up as neatly as possible with a large saw, trying not to go through the carpet. Yeah, probably should have done this somewhere else in hindsight, but hey ho, the carpet's fine. I should probably warn you not to play around with saws if you don't know what you're doing, or ask an adult to help you with this if we have any younger viewers present. But now all the disclaimers are out of the way, after cutting up these foam blocks, I moved on to the arms, which will go through a couple of different alterations throughout this video. If you've been keeping up with this video series, you may know that there is some armrests that I built some time ago, and they are quite functional, but they need a bit of padding on them. So that's what these armrest cushions are for. Oh, I also put this netting back on the foam. I'm not entirely sure what it's for, but it must be there for a reason, right? And after sawing up these foam blocks, I popped them on the chair to see what they were like, and actually they're pretty comfortable. Okay, so what am I going to wrap these foam blocks up in? Well, I thought brown leather would be nice for a cockpit chair. I mean, the go-to is usually black, which is cool, but eventually I'll be painting this cockpit grey, copper and teal. Strange colour choice, you may be thinking, but believe it or not, this is sitting in the living room, and those are the colours that Mrs. 64 and myself chose to have in that room. And she would be much happier if it kind of fit in with the rest of the room. So I'm rambling a bit here, but to put it short, those are the colours of the living room and those will be the colours of the cockpit. And I need some cushions that will sit nicely with those colours. See what I did there? So brown leather, yeah, that will go nicely. Real leather, however, does have its moral implications and it's rather expensive. So after searching through eBay, I found this rather nice textured pleather, which is basically false or fake leather. So no animals were harmed in the making of this cockpit. And it's also a nice colour. Okay, so this is where Mrs. 64's expertise would come in handy. Because now I need to somehow wrap this foam in brown pleather. And my Mrs. 64, she's rather crafty. She knows a little bit about sewing and that kind of thing. So the first idea was to cut up two small pieces for the side and one long piece to go around the rest of it. Mrs. 64 would attempt to sew the sides to the larger pieces of pleather on the inside to hide the stitches. But first we're going to test this technique on one of the armrest cushions. That's the smallest thing to do, it'd be the quickest thing to see if this works. Probably should have done that before cutting these larger pieces up. Oh well. Out came the sewing machine. Mrs. 64 would use the sewing machine to make some sort of envelope to put the foam inside. She sewed it up inside out and then pulled it through to inside in or outside out. Normal way around. I pretty much left this all up to her because she knows what she's doing with this kind of stuff and I literally have no idea. So if you do have any questions about what she's doing, please feel free to leave them in the comments section and I will ask Mrs. 64 to respond to you via the channel's account. I think that would be the best thing to do rather than me trying to bluff my way through that. But to cut a long story short, our first attempt was not very successful.
Shouldn't be like that.
The thread was too thin and it all just sort of fell apart in some scribbled up, knotted mess. So after taking a trip to the crafting shop and buying some thicker thread, we also discovered that the needle was not thick or strong enough, as that completely snapped off. We tried stapling it.
Oh.
And sewing it by hand. Coming out in there.
Yeah, I can't bother to sew the rest.
Needless to say, pun fully intended, we eventually resorted to a new cut of pleather, a bunch of pins, and lots of clear, non-foaming Gorilla Glue. We pinned the foam to the pleather and Gorilla Glued the heck out of it, taped the hell out of it with sellotape, good old sellotape, which we of course will remove the tape once the glue's dry, that's not a permanent fixture. And I popped a bunch of weight plates on it to keep it nice and tight, and we left it overnight. And the next day I took the plates off, removed the tape, and popped the cushions on the chair to test them out. Initially, the glue seemed to be holding very well. However, a problem arose a few days later. The foam is not terribly firm, very comfortable but squashy. So the cushions were expanding at the sides when I sat or rested my arms on them. And the glue was simply not strong enough to prevent the flaps from coming apart. Anyway, after trying a lot of things that didn't work for various reasons, we finally came up with something that did the job well. Two things. This super strong double-sided tape, it's called Rhino, as you can see. I picked it up at Hobbycraft and it seems to be just as good as Gorilla Tape, but a fraction of the price. And some Velcro strips. After removing all of the glue from the flaps on the seat, we attached strips of the double-sided tape and used the two different textured Velcro strips, the opposing ones that would meet together. You know, you have the rough stuff and the slightly furrier stuff. And the results were a lot better, a lot cleaner than the glue, and it's been about a week now and it seems to still be holding really well. Nothing's come unstuck. So I believe this is the solution. We got it at last after trying to sew things by hand and breaking needles in sewing machines and glue that just fell apart. We finally got there. Double-sided Rhino tape and Velcro. Now onto the armrests. I wanted something that felt and looked connected to the armrest. Maybe something that continued along that angle. So I thought maybe it'd be a good idea if I made some sort of MDF picture frame that the foam could sit inside and then I could wrap that up nice and tight. I got out my angle tool, figured out my angles, sawed off a bit of the foam so it kind of roughly continued that shape, and marked up some MDF. Pivot here until we go 5, 15, 25. And now on the other side I have my angle. Okay, there's our angle. Sort up these side pieces. and a little bit of hardboard to continue that angle along the back. And then I attached it all to a rectangular piece of hardboard from the back of an old broken bookcase, and voila, a shape that continues the angle of that backrest that I can now insert the foam in and wrap it up nice and tight in that brown pleather. And then on the arms, we didn't even use the Velcro, we just stuck it together with the tape. Also, with this leftover block of foam, we made a head support. Using the strong tape again, we wrapped it up like a present and made some slits along the back of it that we could feed some elastic through. We tied that elastic around the backrest cushion, and it's not the most aesthetically pleasing headrest I've ever seen, but it does the job. It feels really comfortable to sit in. And I've been playing some Elite Dangerous in between editing this video, and I've got to say, it's so nice. It's really comfortable, I love it. Anyway, that's everything. I've got my cushions for my backrest, my seat, and my armrests. Everything's starting to come together nicely now, so we're ready to leave the chair as it is for now and move on to the next part of the cockpit, which will be the desk. I've got an old computer desk sitting in my shed that I was using before I built these armrests, and we're going to make some modifications to that in the next episode. But as for now, thanks very much for watching. If you made it this far, congratulations. And thank you again to anybody that's been keeping up this series. I've really enjoyed working on this video series so far, and I hope you continue to join me on this video series as we move towards a more complete gaming cockpit. Next week will be a retro video, and I hope you join me for that too. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Take care of each other, keep gaming, and have a great day. This is Commander 64, signing off.